We're living through unprecedented times, and obviously, like everyone on the planet, we've had to change the way we operate. So until further notice, we've had to cancel our off-market shows, and our Crunchroom in the Crib office is now closed. But the show must go on. So we've enlisted our number one on-the-ground correspondent, Shane Beaumont, to give us an update on how he's working through the crisis and how the constant uncertainty has changed the behaviours of his buyers and sellers. Now, obviously, this one was recorded via Zoom, and with everyone using up all the broadband width, the audio quality is, not as good as what we're used to, but please bear with us. I think it's still pretty good. And we'd love to hear your thoughts on this. We'll potentially be doing a quick update every week with Shane, just as things are changing. So if you'd like to hear more, if you've got a story or some thoughts to share, we would love to hear from you. We can set these up with anyone in the planet. So get in touch if you've got some comments. Otherwise, please enjoy. On with the show. All right, mate. G'day. Welcome.
G'day, how are you going?
Welcome to this new and very different way of living. Unfortunately, can't have you here in the studio. So thanks for calling in.
No problem at all. It's nice to see someone.
I know. Bit of a different way. So I wanted to check in with you as our correspondent on the ground. Obviously, we're recording this on Wednesday, the 25th of March?
Yeah, 25th, yeah.
Yeah, and we got some news from ScoMo yesterday that they're going to shut down home opens, shut down auctions. And already prior to that, obviously, agents were moving pretty quickly to no contact kind of ways of operating. But I wanted to just check in with you and just see how, I guess, firstly, how have you been changing the way you work in these new times?
It's a really interesting, it's an interesting thing. I'm involved with a couple of groups, I guess Facebook groups. I speak to agents across the country in those. And if you look over east, I fully understand what ScoMo, or as to advocate call him, Scotty from marketing, has to go on the front foot and get these things in place, because some of the lines, but not just, properties for sale, but rentals, it was just chaos. You see like lines out the door, 30, 40, 50 people. I saw one the other day, had 70 groups, which is just unprecedented. We haven't had that situation where, we'll put it this way, social distancing has been pretty easy at our home opens for quite some time, because we're simply not getting many people. I personally, and I've got stuff all over Perth, have averaged around one person per home open last few years, and I've still managed to transact just under sort of 90 properties a year. We've just had to work bloody hard and qualify buyers and go about it that way, because the home open process, as far as creating urgency, hasn't been working for quite some time. So I fully understand that. I know certain areas across Perth, when I've had ones recently, West Leederville or even in Leeming, for example, there's really big numbers through. And I think it's we all are in this together. We probably do need to make those sacrifices, but it's not the be-all and end-all home open. So I've said that for quite some time. Genuine buyers are still going to get in touch. There's transactions happening. You speak to most agents, they will all, I reckon, confirm that the first quarter of this year has been really positive, lots of sales happening. And if those people have sold their home, typically they need to act. So my gut feel at the moment, we've probably got around a 3 or 4 week window to do what we can before it really quieten off.
Yeah.
But a lot of this sort of having vendor management meetings face-to-face. I think face-to-face is just so important. Using this facility, I've got one of my clients which has just come back from Singapore with work, and he's in, I think, isolation or quarantine, whatever you want to call it. So I think it was so good to have those, having serious chats about people's biggest asset, to sit there and look and say, look, this is what we're going to do, to talk about things, as opposed to just putting an email through. I think it's really important times like this.
Yeah. Have you seen any change in behaviour as yet from buyers and sellers? Obviously, we've seen the Centrelink lines. People are losing their jobs. Has that flowed on yet?
Yeah, it's changed really, really quickly. And I've always, I remember when I heard that sort of saying, that when someone got asked how they went broke, and they said slowly, then very quickly. I think that's typically what we're going to see here. The first week and a half, 2 weeks, it probably wasn't taken as seriously, but vendors were probably more on the phone, and we were on the phone proactively giving them feedback, real-time feedback on what's happening. And that was generally, we haven't seen any change as yet. and that was a fortnight ago. I mean, it's only a fortnight ago. I remember I was at a function of sort of 500 people. You know, it's just crazy.
I know.
499, sorry, because that was when they announced the limit. So the vendors were straight onto it. Buyers have been slower than the vendors, but certainly now it's at the forefront of their mind. I would say properties below 450 hasn't been as impacted as what I have sort of million plus, where I think people maybe their interests or their jobs, their security at that level is more of an issue, because I tend to find properties under 450,000, most circumstances, their rent is thereabouts what they're paying in a mortgage. But once you get up over $1 million, you're tying a fair bit of money up in a property, job security, fluctuations of 5 to 10% can change a huge amount. If you buy a property for 1.5 million, then you find out it falls 10%. It's not going to be a great feeling. A bit like when you buy a jumper and it goes on sale 2 weeks later. We'll times that by a hell of a lot, and you get a understanding. Yeah, it's horrible. So I fully understand that. We've actually taken a couple of our properties off the market where we have strong interest, amazing properties, and we've just said, look, let's take it off till we get some certainty, because it's not good for the buyers. They don't want to miss out on a home they potentially will love and be for 7 years. And it's certainly not good for the sellers, because I don't believe they're going to be getting an emotional price or a price where someone says, I must not miss out on this home, if in the back of their mind people are thinking about those sort of 3-6 month projections.
Yeah.
So if we can get through this, I think it should be one thing I do know, this is the wake up call that I think WA, it's an extreme measure, but the market's been pretty good, but no one's really realised until now that we're down to 12,000. The vacancy rates are so low. So I think when we get through this, it's going to bounce, and it will bounce really quickly. And I have no, commission breath attached to that. It doesn't affect me. I make the same amount of sales every year, regardless of what's happening. Some markets it's easier. But that's a general feel that people will probably go, you know what, it was just about to go. And I haven't had anyone say to me that's not been the case.
Yeah.
So really,
I think the difference here is, it's being felt across with everyone. It's not just real estate going, oh, we were just about to go. It's worldwide. People are hurting. So.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know guys that are setting up big mining camps that have just been put on hold. Hey Alana, how are you going? I know they've been put on hold. It's just flowed right through. To give you some idea, like at the moment, I think I've got around just maybe 20 settlements that are taking place. At the moment, we're just really on the phone to them almost daily, just nurturing through, saying how things are going, keeping on the front foot so nothing's a rude shock. I have had 2 deals. One of them we sold 48 hours ago. He's been called into his office today and said that he'll either be changing his hours or losing his job. So that hasn't even been submitted yet. So they're pretty unique circumstances. And another person who has also had his job situation changed to he's on a contract basis, and he's been told, look, you will potentially in the short term be losing your job. We're talking about a 2 or 3 week period. So we've sort of said, look, we haven't got the clients on those, but we know in our industry the writing's on the wall there. All it takes is the bank to say, look, you're telling us these information. Rather than waiting 21 days, we're getting on the front foot to our owners and saying, look, this is potentially what's going to happen. What do you want to do? Do we want to drag this out 3 weeks to find out the same thing, or do we want to speak to our buyer and say, look, we understand this is what you're going through, and have a bit of empathy. We don't want to let people out of deals or anything like that, but when you know the writing's on the wall and that is going to happen, I think you've got to be on the front foot. And I think owners appreciate that, because 3 weeks' time, God knows what's going to be happening at the moment. But to have that take place in the first foot, as disappointing as like the stickers that he's going to just go on the sign, and then we're saying, look, this is what's happening. No one wins. But I think in times like these, you've got to have empathy, be human, not saying, well, you've got your rights and this and that. It's just so out of the ordinary. So I think we've tried to have that approach. So just nurturing things through settlement. The general consensus is the banks have been really good. So people that own properties and can get properties settled, we have no doubt, based on the conversations I've had the last sort of 48 hours, or probably 4 days actually, we've had a couple of clients who aren't ready to come to market, but we've speaking to all our past appraisals, all our anniversary calls, just making sure they're informed of what's happening, not about coronavirus, because they've seen enough of that, about what's happening in the property market right now. And the banks have been really good in putting things on hold for 6 months in both those circumstances I spoke about. The rental side of things is a bit different, because ultimately the tenants at this stage aren't getting assisted. There are job losses. You've seen the lines there. So the landlords can also go to their bank and say, look, can I put things on hold? The tenants are the ones in a bit of a sticky situation. They can't simply do that. So if you are renting and you buy a property, the crazy thing is you're probably in a better position if you can keep your job, or because you're in control more. If you're renting,
got a bit more security.
Yeah. And with the rental market, it's pretty hot at the moment. So if people can't buy, they've got to rent. So I don't see much easing in that department, but the sales, I will think the transactions will drop off. So people are going to live somewhere if they're going to go to rentals. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on property management departments, how they're going to logistically handle that, because at this stage, and we're speaking on the 25th of March, there has been no change of policy or any relief for renting people, those renting. And for cash flow, I'm sure that's going to have an issue on a lot of property managers, because if rent's not coming in, they're not getting paid. It's pretty scary.
There's a definite flow on there.
It's just changing daily so quickly.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking in here this morning thinking that there might be an announcement regarding housing and rent relief and that kind of stuff this afternoon, but, we may be chat next week and things will be completely different. Last thing I want to hear from you, Shane, piece of advice for other agents out there who may be struggling or...
For agents that are struggling, I could say you're not alone. I mean, at the moment, it's been probably the most stressful week. Not so much for any other reason. Like, I obviously want to hit the phones and I want to do these things, but at the moment, you're really... I've got, say, 30, 40 listings. There's a lot of people who don't know what's going on. I've got 20 sales in the pipeline, so I've got to speak to, I guess, 40 people there. It is emotionally draining at the moment. It really is. So you're not alone. I personally, for the first time, and I can't remember how long, have seen, I put it on my Instagram feed, my wife twice in 2 days while the sun is still up, which is pretty rare. I'm not, that's not something to be proud of. I'm just saying it's, so obviously things have dropped off a bit. So I think take some time out, have half an hour to yourself just to try and breathe, and, just understand it's not going to be forever. Speak to your grandparents. If you are a grandparent, you probably know. We've been through wars. At the moment, all we need to do is park things, take some time out, stay at home. It could be a lot worse. But I'm really, for myself, I'm just tidying up my database, building rapport with current clients, and self-development. I'm just going back through the things that we know that we should be doing, we're not, listening to old podcasts and things like that, where just keeping my mind fresh. If you are working from home, I think it's important to set up a workspace, get actually dressed for work. Don't just sit in pajamas all day. Me personally, I don't know how you can switch to that mode. So I think to have a bit of routine is so important. If you can do those things, I think you're going to minimise impact. But for guys that are high-performing agents, we don't want it to come to this, but at the same time, it's actually been, for the first time, just a moment to stop and actually, as I say, speak to the wife, have a bit of time to just breathe. I don't want it to last for too long, but from some of the conversations I'm having with some of the top agents around the country and in WA, it's really weird, because
take a moment.
Go phone. But take a moment, breathe, and actually think, you know what, you're just a real estate agent. People that are in certainly worse off positions in many circumstances, just park it for a bit, Cool.
That's what I keep thinking. We are, no matter what situation we're in, there are plenty out there worse. So, and call your grandparents. What was that?
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Cool. Don't see them. I said, all we're asking, like, when you think about it, all you've been told to do is stay home.
Yes.
And not go out. For me, if I get a day off, typically, my dream is to lay on the couch, watch or chill out, a glass of wine with a dog on my lap. I'm not saying I'm doing that right now, but it could be a lot worse.
Now's your option. Yeah.
Could be a lot worse.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Thank you very much for that, Shane. I reckon we might check in with you again, depending what happens over the next week, and try and just see
Yep.
get
I can pay my Wi-Fi bill.
get a touch point.
Keep the connection up. So not too much stress on that. So.
I know. Well, I'm still in the office, but next week I don't know where I'll be. So anyway, we'll check in with you.
No worries at all. Awesome.
Enjoy the time off.
Bye.
Thanks, mate. Bye.
Bye.